I literally, of all the places to put boxes, my one little perch in front of the microwave. Another day at the Amato compound. Aren't you guys excited to see it coming along behind me? I sure am. We're almost there, y'all. So I'm gonna open up this chat. Basically, I feel like garbage, and I had a whole thing prepared. The next few weeks, each of these Zooms, I'm going to be tackling different baby steps that we usually suggest. See Nick unloading our storage unit back there. But because I feel like crap, and because today I wanted to deliver the Zooms on those baby steps, whether it's a refresher, whether it's something new, I want to really give that the attention it deserves, and my brain is not there. But it is the new year, and I did feel like it was really important to all come together and talk about some of the things I'm hearing, see my hands, that are all coming up a lot, especially after the new year. So first, Happy New Year. How is everyone? Oh my God, I think I just drooled Sprite on camera. That's how my New Year is going. How was everyone's New Year's Eve? Do anything cool? Catch me up. Tell me in the chat, first and foremost. I love the light fixtures you were putting together. Yep, they're back. They're little sea urchin looking things. But it did not make it to 12. Yeah, my mother-in-law texted us and was like, I'm not lasting. Happy New Year. Mazel tov. It was good. Caught up on sleep. It was really lazy around here for sure. Like I unplugged and loved it. And I was just, granted I was working on a house, but it felt lazy. Like we slept in, we like walked around in our pajamas till real late. I wore my pajamas all day. It was great. Caviar. Yes. It was your first time trying it, right? Oh my God, you were telling me. And I was like imagining the elaborate setup that you had. And it was probably just like on something and eat it. It was still delicious, but how fancy. I went to bed at 10:30, ended up having to quarantine because my husband was a close contact. Oh, fun. Yeah, we were, I've been, like I said, I was feeling crappy. That wasn't dramatic effect. I breathed in my spit. But I've been feeling crappy, but my mother-in-law and father-in-law came over after they had been to a casino, and then they tested positive the next day. So I was certain. I was like 2 years of preparedness and trying to stay the hell away from everyone. And this is how it happens. But luckily, negative over here. So for both of us. PJs rule. They really do. I wish it was appropriate just to wear them all the time. Dealing with my daughter going back to remote and fighting with the students with disabilities office at my school. What a shit show. I feel bad for like everybody involved in that scenario. I have a lot of clients who are teachers, and I feel so bad hearing it from their perspective. And then I have a lot of clients, obviously, who are parents, and I'm hearing it from their perspective. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna lie. What a time to not have kids. There was a time, at least that's like that's my own silver lining, is like, I feel like I got like 90 of them with you guys. And then I got like one big one back there. So I'm all set. I don't know how you guys deal with school in all capacities with this whole shit storm. Made it to 1:30 thanks to insomnia. Yeah, that's a silver lining too. Had to rest, have been symptom flaring. Yeah, 'tis the season to change. I always say it, change in vitamin D. Even if you're still getting outside, you're still getting sunlight, it's still different because the UV index, the sun's farther away. Then, just the stress of the holidays, the food of the holidays, the drink of the holidays, just in general, sleep patterns being changed, doing more in general. It's like the perfect season for flares. I have so many kids out and so many kids coming and coughing. Have you guys seen that reel? Who was it? Steph sent it to me. It was like someone coughs and then it's like an alert goes off and it's like, warning, cough has been detected. Please stay where you are. And someone will come to like bring you to the nearest like recovery center or something like that, like just being funny. it's like if there was ever a joke to talk about like the anxiety of the times, it has never been a convenient time to cough, but it is especially harrowing now. Because every time I cough, I'm like, I'm so sorry. But I couldn't imagine having a class full of kids. They get sick every year regardless, you know, when it's not COVID. So I'd be freaking out. Sunlight, what is that? I miss it so much. Yeah. But then also I've been in line at a supermarket and I've definitely heard someone like with that deep, like croupy cough, and they don't even like look around. Like, at least if I'm gonna have to cough and I know like it's not COVID, I was tested, whatever, I'm gonna still feel bad. Like I'm still gonna do the, you know, the honorary look around and be like, you know, like I don't know what to tell you, I'm fine. But someone was in front of me at the supermarket like a few days ago, and it was like this real deep, croupy, like nasty cough. And then they were just like, and they didn't have a mask on, which is the cherry on top with the deep, croupy cough. It's like these days, just put one on if you got the deep, croupy cough. Damn. But what a time to be alive, for sure. Choked on my own spit in Trader Joe's and almost bailed and left. I have been that person. It's never like the right time to choke on your own spit, but I get like really excited to say something, usually insignificant. But anyway, let's get to some topics today. I'm going to ask you guys, this is going to be a conversational kind of call today. So I want you guys, I love what we got going on in the chat. Keep it coming, you know, but I definitely have a couple topics I want to broach to start this conversation off. And let's talk about alcohol around the holiday season. I want to kick it off with kind of more of the innocent side of things, right? Like I don't want to get into the deep side of like the shame is attached to it or the socializing attached to it, because that can go a million ways. I just want to talk about the puffiness. 'Tis the season, right? That's what I say, from like October until mid-January. And it just kind of like creeps in, you know, and it's food, alcohol, sleep disturbances. Like I was saying before, this is the season that's really prevalent. It's most prevalent. So especially coming off of the holiday season and everything, you know, it's gonna feel, I've heard this a lot. I'm doing everything I should be, but my stomach is off, my joints are swollen, my face is puffy, you know, like all these things. And now our worry, because we're used to this kind of like, you get somewhere, right? Maybe you lose a little weight, or maybe you clear your skin. Sorry, guys. And you know, let's say you get one zit, or something comes back, you know, you feel a little bit pudgier that day than you did a week ago. And it's like, we have it kind of wired in. That's like, here we go, backslide. Back. I knew it was too good to be true. I knew it wasn't going to last. How many of you guys have felt that way when you feel like you've gotten a result of some kind and gone backwards? But it really, you know, yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of people raising their hands saying me. It really isn't even about that. It's the whole mindset behind getting started again, getting going again, doing what you need to do for yourself. We thrive in momentum. And if the momentum's good, awesome, but it's not easy for the momentum to be good. You know, now when you have real life happening around you, you got to make all these changes and keep them up. The holiday season is a very easy time for it to be kind of like, I'm putting all my focus in this area, but other things could be screwing us up. Stress, for example, or alcohol. Now, a little bit about this. I have had my own past with alcohol. I used to drink a lot. I was like a two bottle of wine a night kind of person. And people usually like cannot believe that, because I'm like, one, I'm a super lightweight now. It's ridiculous. But two, it's just like, you wouldn't assume that, right? Well, I had my job. I worked my ass off, and that added to the justification of it as well. That added to the, like, I just want to, and it wasn't like I'm sitting there pounding back 2 bottles of wine. First of all, a bottle of wine is only 4 glasses. So if my tolerance was getting increasingly higher, and I had an awful day, which was like pretty much every day, And my solace was this glass of wine at night. Well, one glass becomes two glasses become, you know what I mean? So eventually when I got to like 2 bottles, I was like, this is expensive. That was the first thing I noticed. But during this time, I was pursuing my scleroderma and my RA diagnosis. And it was like insane. And because I was young, everybody thought, either lose weight or, you're too young for this, think positive. Is it all in your head? Like I heard a ton of that when I was pursuing my physical ailments, like my like RA and scleroderma. I was going to rheumatologists. I think I went through like 5 of them before someone was willing to do the right kind of blood work that saw that I have a different kind of RA and scleroderma. I digress. 3 out of them all said stop drinking alcohol. And now granted, that wasn't the only reason that they sucked. Like they were saying it just because they thought I was like full of it. And they're like, yeah, just do that. But I was so mad because I was like, it is not the wine. I try so hard to take care of myself. Okay. At one point when I was drinking that much, I was a raw vegan. So I was like, I eat raw vegetables every day, all day. It's not the liquor. Until I stopped because I couldn't afford it. It was really a lot. And I was like, it's extra carbs, like all the other justifications came in. It was really tough. And that was when I was first faced with the fact that it was really tough. And that was an eye opener for me because I had a very planned out view of people who had issues with alcohol. That was not me. I was just drinking wine. And I was like, I wasn't like an angry drunk. Like I had all these stupid rules in my head of like why. And I realized that like the defensiveness for it, the pinning all of my relaxation on it, the feeling like a weirdo if like why can't I? Like, all those things, like that was all my own internalized shit. I really was just stressed out constantly. And food made me sick. And wine made me sick in ways that were easier for me to not notice. So if you have all these things that make you unhappy, and then you have, I know I said I wasn't going to get deep about this, but I didn't plan this talk. This is just off the top. So we'll get back to lighthearted in a minute. But truly, it was like, I realized one day I woke up and my knuckles weren't so swollen. And I had maybe had like a glass the night before. I didn't have my usual. And for me, I said, I'm saving money. Tonight, I'm going to save money. That's the only way I could bring myself to try and taper back. I don't know what it was. It was like a pride thing or something. But when it felt like it was my idea, okay, my inflammation started going down. My face started looking so different, like my facial features. People started telling me like, you look happier. And truth be told, it wasn't the miracle cure, guys. Like all the other issues that made me want to drink the damn wine were still there. It was amazing. And it was just eye-opening that something that like I never got so hungover I couldn't function, like unless I went out. But at that point I was so sick I never went out. I just like the wine never felt like the culprit. And yet it made things so much harder. And remember, again, I was saying I was living off of raw veggies at the time, so that didn't help any either. But I notice now that even if I have like 2 days in a row where I'm drinking liquor of some kind, like that's what I go for. I go for like tequila, or I'll go for like some kind of like liqueur kind of thing. Yeah, I'm an old person now. But I noticed like one night of like a couple drinks, like I'm fine. 2 nights in a row, 3 nights in a row, the next week my neck is like this. It just is what it is. I can tell like my eyes, I already have hooded lids, but there will be like my lids will be like down here and you can barely see my eye. Like the inflammation is just crazy. Around this time of year, the justifications are everywhere and they're positive justifications. So I want to hear from you guys. I spilled on my whole spiel when it comes to alcohol and stuff like that. I want to hear about you guys. Like, what are your individual relationships with it? Because from what I do hear on the phone, it's not something that, it's funny. I've gotten used to asking on the onboarding call, okay, when people tell me what they eat for those 3 days, like, does this include alcohol? So many times it doesn't. So I want to hear what you guys, like, what's your own personal take on that. You're doing great.
Thanks.
We have to have everything out of the unit by tomorrow, or it's another 250. We didn't realize this till like earlier. So tell me, what is your, especially over the holidays, what did you notice when it came to your own relationship with alcohol? Oof, well, we talked about trauma dumping the other day, so maybe I'll hold back on this question. Well, I think that's telling as it is as a response. In addition, always share whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. There's no such thing as like, I know you're joking because of that reel I sent you, but truly, like, this is the place to do it, right? We've all been through some shit in some capacity. I won't let anyone judge. So share whatever anyone feels comfortable with sharing. How about anybody hearing this and they're like, alcohol doesn't make that big of a difference. We'll fully own this. I allow myself to buy 2 bottles a week. If I drink them quick, tough shit, you have the rest of the week. Yeah. Not drinking. For me, like, I think the anxiety was not being able to have wine that night. So like, if I did it that way, I probably would have drank too much of one bottle to be like, well, I'm not going to have enough left. Like, I would have started leveraging just with how my brain works. Whatever works with how each of our brains work, I'm all for that. I've always said this, we go with human nature, not against it. But for me, it was almost like if I could say, I remember there was a time where I would be like, okay, I'm not going to pour a glass, but I'm going to take a swig when I go in the fridge. So like, I would take a bottle of wine out of the fridge and I would take a sip. And then I remember feeling like, this is so ridiculous that I didn't want to. So like, just to show you, like, that was my own like unique way that I tried to like cut back. I was like, what am I doing? But it helped for some reason. Let's see, I'm scrolling up. Not drinking lately, but in my past, I was a heavy drinker, like blackout drunk, waking up naked, not remembering shit. Been there for sure. Back in my 20s, I drank way too much. Don't drink anymore. I'm sensitive to it. I have been for a long time, and I don't really like how it makes me feel unless I drink so much I can't function. Yeah, I'm sorry. I hope no one is offended by this, but I'm a big marijuana proponent, a big cannabis proponent, way before I would alcohol. It's like I am a functioning pothead. So let's see. I wish there was like bars you could go to. You could just like smoke a joint on a patio and just order food and just sit and relax, you know, any day. I would take that in a heartbeat. In the past year, my husband has stopped drinking because of his AFib. So for the most part, we don't drink at home. Vacation with family is a different story. Yeah. So I think that, how does that, for anyone else, because I think there's a few people who probably relate to that, especially around like the holidays, because that's when people are tending to get together. What is it like when you get together? You said a different story. What does that usually play out like? Not really drinking, but I realize when I do go overboard and feel sick. Yeah, and that's like the worst feeling too. I remember, so my OCD I feel like would get triggered by drinking sometimes, and it would inadvertently make me drink more, because like, if I could tell, it's terrible, but if I felt out of control, like I didn't want to be drunk anymore, and I felt out of control with reality, with my own self, I would almost like have another drink to take the edge off. And that's when I would probably black out. Real healthy, right? So I was addicted to drugs most of my teens, early 20s, quit drugs, picked up alcohol use. Then my brother died from alcohol. You'd think it would make me stop, but it made it worse. No, I can understand that, you know, for sure. There are people who they go through abuse, and this was eye-opening for me. Trigger warning for anyone, but as a survivor of sexual abuse, I had a period of my life where I was considered like promiscuous, right? So I always thought that if I had been abused in my life, that I would go the opposite. I would want to be touched. I would want to be looked at. I would be, and it's not there. It's two different ways that people tend to go as a form of getting through that trauma. They tend to repeat the pattern or avoid any kind of form of contact, you know, almost. So I never drank a lot until I was trying to fit in with a certain group of people. and they were pressuring me to drink until I was blackout every time I would hang out with them. And it was the only time I was drinking. Now that I'm not friends with them, I still don't keep alcohol in the house because I feel out of control around it. And that's your own personal boundary. I think, kudos, whatever. I think the same thing with foods and stuff in the house. It's your house. It's your cabinets. It's your safe space. It's your easy access, follow through with that as you see fit. Love that. I drank a bottle of rum mixed with soft drink over Christmas week, and I was crashing after that week. I don't really know if it was the alcohol or all the sugar, and there's probably both. So I tell my clients, I don't know, words are evading me at this time, but so I apologize if this gets rough, y'all. But I tell my clients that if you're going to drink, try to go for a sugar-free, gluten-free kind of, situation, whether it's your mixers, whether it's the type of beer you're going for, whatever the case, if it's a seltzer, a lemonade, like whatever. Just if you watch out for those things, it's like that spilled milk example. It's like spilling a little milk versus like dumping it, I can definitely been there and it feels crappy, I imagine, but I used to drink a lot, probably too much. And as I've gotten older, I still have a few cocktails here and there. It's not drinking to get drunk anymore. It's more about making something interesting. Definitely notice a difference when I'm drinking more than I usually do, though. It's insidious, right? Like, especially if you, if you don't usually have a bottle of something fun in your house, and the holiday season has just ended, so you have that bottle left over, it is innocent. It's like it kind of creeps in. Now, I'm not talking about having an issue where you feel like you drink too much or whatever, but bringing it back to inflammation and hormones, it causes like all that shit to go haywire. So, but again, it feels innocent and easy. So it's common. I'm just going to keep saying it. 'Tis the season. I don't think I drank at all until I was around that group of people. Yeah, that's telling. My sibling was telling me that when they were like 12 years old, they would go hang out at this one best friend's house. And I never liked this best friend, like even from a young age, was really nasty and kind of like condescending, put her down and everything. And she had just a really, really rough upbringing too, to like also not be a very loyal and like solid human. So I was worried about my sister, my sibling, and their interaction in that place and what was going on. But what am I going to do? Like I was a kid myself. And two, anyone here knows there's no like just telling them, I don't want you to hang out with them. They would have done the opposite. So they were like, yeah, I was drinking a whole bottle of cheap vodka at that age because that's what was modeled around me. Like that's what my friends were. And like, it seemed like silly and fun. And now as adults, we look back and reflect, and like, the friend's mom was an alcoholic and had just people in and out of her house all the time. She also had a drug use problem, so it was like, there's a lot of facets going on there. But my sibling was like, I never even thought of alcohol till I was in that environment, and it just kind of makes you look back and realize and be like, yeah, there were other things that this friend got held accountable for. That was not one of them until we recently were talking about it. Like, that wasn't the best environment, but I miss being able to smoke for the instant relief, but I'm so grateful for RSO and sugar-free, gluten-free edibles. Yes. Tinctures are great. I'm a big fan of tinctures. I was just telling somebody before, edibles can be tricky. We get, like you said, now they're having more like different types of edibles, but also I'm type 1 diabetic. So I watch what I have to take insulin for, and the edibles, a lot of them are really like high in sugar or carbs. So then it ends up becoming like, I can't even enjoy it because I'm just chasing my blood sugars all day. So now they're coming out with like a lot of sugar-free stuff, gluten-free stuff. But I love a tincture because if I don't want to be, smoking or anything like that, especially during the day, if I need some pain relief or anti-anxiety, tinctures. If you're in a legal state, most dispensaries will have them, and you can just put it in your water, your soda, whatever, and you don't even know it's there. I tried to switch. The weed hangovers are worse for me. I can do one glass of wine and be good, but weed will floor me. Here's where I become everyone's typical pothead friend, right? And I say there are thousands of strains. So it's an art. Now that it's becoming legal in more places and federal legalization is pretty close by, and it's kind of being destigmatized, there's a lot more of the science that we can learn about it. And I don't mean to be patronizing. If you've gone down this route and truly it's not for you, I don't mean to be sounding like annoying. But for those who are watching, there are so many different strains that there is an art to it. And certain strains can make you anxious, can make you feel hungover, can just stick with you for way too long. There's different milligram levels. There's terpenes instead of actual flower. I'm going to be taking a course on this soon. PS. So as I actually know what I'm talking about more, I will make it known to you guys. But it's the top thing I hear. It either zonks me out for days after, or I feel it makes me anxious. And it's usually just a strain or product issue. Like some people can't handle like smoking, but a tincture or a lozenge or something. Even a salve, like a lot of it can be, it can be absorbed into the skin for pain relief. Kind of crazy. I enjoy drinking occasionally, socially, but it's usually just 1 or 2 drinks. Can go a couple months without it and not really notice. Cool. My anxiety kicks in and then I drink more and more and more and I get sick. I'm curious about the effects of marijuana, but I can't stand the smell or taste. Yes. So tincture, that's another reason why I love it. You can just kind of like put the dropper under your tongue and just take a sip of something and you don't even notice it was there. Like there's no real, I tried one, I could tell it was something and it tasted like lemon, so it was pretty easily coverable. Appalachian Standard is great. I will remember that next time I'm up in your neck of the woods. I found unsweetened iced tea infused. Ooh, I love that. I'm grateful for our medical market. Feel very blessed to have access to vendors who can customize things for me. Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait till the day where it's like an apothecary. Like you walk in, you tell them your problem. They create something for you based on blends of different things. We're going to be there. It's probably going to take another decade, but I was telling this to someone before. We're one of the only creatures that have cannabinoid receptors. There's a reason that we have a built-in mechanism to accept the effects of this. There's a reason that it just repopulates the way that it does. It's just, I'm a little woo-woo about this. I used to be completely anti-cannabis until this math teacher back here, I met him. You guys want to hear the story? It's a good one. Okay, so I'm just going to tell it. Hope you do. But we were talking once, and actually I had gotten drunk on a friend's birthday, and I had searched him up on Facebook after I met him at work, and I added him as a friend, and he messaged me immediately. Zero game. I'm so glad. And then we were talking, and I was like, "Come down to Jenks," the bar I was drinking at. Anyone from around like in the Jersey area will know, and they'll understand the vibe of the evening as well. But come down to Jenks, and he's like, "It is like 1 a.m. I am an hour and a half away." Like, no. And then we were just talking the next day, and I was so hungover, and I had to buy my sibling a birthday present, and I almost threw up in Harmon's. I didn't have a problem. But, so then he's like, do you smoke? And at this point, again, I'm going to shock you guys. I was a heavy cigarette smoker at that time in my life. So I was like, I smoke. Like I take cigarette breaks at work. And he was like, "No, I don't mean that kind." Now, at this point, previously, I had been laced by some really shady weed in the past. It made me so sick. It made me, my whole group of friends, like I was really scared. It was terrifying. So that was like probably 5 years ago. Like I had not really smoked. I had gotten my heart absolutely shattered by somebody a couple months before we started talking, and I wasn't able to sleep. And one of my friends was like, so-and-so is coming over to smoke. Like, why don't you just smoke? If anything, it'll help you knock out and go to bed. I was so wired and so like adrenally messed up. It had been like 4 days since I had slept. And I was so just on my wits. I was like, yeah, it literally couldn't make anything worse. I smoked and I knocked out for like 12 hours straight. And so I still didn't have like a great recreational view. I really thought of it as like a helpful thing in the moment, like, okay, whatever. So then when Nick brings this up, he's like, yeah, do you ever smoke? I'm like, once in a blue moon. And he's like, well, it really helps with nausea and stuff. And yeah, me too. I only smoke once in a blue moon. I happen to have some, because yeah, we all know if you smoke once in a blue moon, you happen to have some, like it's gum, like it's chiclets. But anyway, I'm like, yeah, sure, bring it over, so we hung out that night, and he proceeds to completely know how to roll anything. I still don't really roll up my own stuff, but he's like sitting there like Wiz Khalifa, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, once in a blue moon, huh? Like you're good for once in a blue moon. Completely aware. And we smoked, and I think he thought I was full of it when I said once in a blue moon. Like he thought I was trying to be modest, like he was. And I had no idea how much to smoke, right? Because it was not my thing. I did not enjoy it up until then. And so I thought, I'm just gonna smoke till I feel it. And my little newbie ass that never did stuff like that just could drink 2 bottles of wine to the face like a champ, but I never smoked. I got knocked off my ass, but it was like I watched cartoons and just went like this for 3 hours. I was looking at it. I was like, it was the most peaceful I had been in a very long time. And that is how we met. And then ever since then, because I felt safe smoking with Nick, because anytime I had tried in the past, I mean, the first time I tried it was anxiety ridden. I hated the people I was with. Second time I got laced, and then we all got super sick. I did not have a very good outlook on this. I was really like, but here we are, and he's a math teacher, very responsible, not a degenerate, except when I want him to be. But it's a good union, we done well. And I don't drink anymore, but I'm a big advocate of the cannabis. So now that you all know my deep, dark secrets of my past, I told you this was going to be kind of a free for all, but when it comes to alcohol, to reel it back in, and hormones, I want you guys to think of it as it's not necessary. Not like sugar, not like carbs, not like anything in any given moment. You always have the option to cut down on it, to water it down, mix it with Sprite, Diet Sprite, mix it with Diet Coke, mix it with seltzer, whatever. You have the ability to pick something else. Spain has an entire mocktail culture dedicated to fun ass alcohol-free drinks, because why wouldn't it still be fun? Whatever the way you choose is. I would do it for yourself in a sense of, if after this holiday season, give yourself a break, as much as you feel like it, and just notice the effects on your body. Like notice the inflammation changes, so that next time, if the holiday season kicks in and you're noticing you're a little bit extra puffier, it's a little bit more forgiving to say, oh, this is a sign of the times, like, not to compare us to dogs, but like if you have a dog, right? They shed their coat. They got a different coat in the winter than in the spring. Feeling like, maybe your winter coat is a little fluffier. And maybe this is part of that, but I don't think you can have that kind of forgiveness and ease with your body kind of fluctuating throughout these times of the year, unless you physically can see that comparison to be like, this is what happens when I drink more, like in the holiday season, I get puffier, sounds simple, but it's still making peace. So, wait, was Jenks on Jersey Shore too? Like they said it? Like, yeah, that was one. Okay. Wow. It's not even that special, but that's where I was. And it's not like, it's like a Jersey Shore staple. That's why they went there. It wasn't like it was this fancy, it was like a fantastic place. Even when they were no longer filming there and it got really popular, even more popular and stuff, it's still always Jenks. So I always forget. I only smoke with very close friends for a reason. Absolutely. It's the worst. And like I said, for those of you like who are straight laced, like I was, like I mean, I drank a lot, but when it came to weed, drugs, like not my thing. Start with a tincture. Start with or some gummies. Get some gummy bears. Screw the sugar. It's okay. You'll be all right for once. But if you are watching this and you're kind of curious, but you're like afraid, maybe it's like a little bit of uncharted territories, text me about it. I'll help you with recommendations. I can find the local dispensary near you and look at their menu and like try to guide you. But there are other options, you know, you don't have to worry, like you don't have to go from not even drinking to like smoking a blunt, you know, no one expects anyone to do that, but it has its beneficial properties. So, okay. What else? The baby step series. So hopefully I'm feeling better next week. I had the baby step that I had planned for today's talk was to eating enough calories. I want to go over, because that's such a mixed bag of like, well, how will it make me gain weight? How do I prioritize it if I easily prioritize restriction but not eating enough? There's like so much that goes into it. Like, why does it matter? That will be next Zoom. Okay, so next Wednesday, we will start our baby step series. If you have any questions, if you would want me to elaborate on something on that Zoom, just tell me beforehand. All right, and I hope this was helpful in some way, not totally random. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.